variance and rear yard variance for Casey's General Store at the intersection of State Highway B and Interstate 70. Megan, would you please start things off?
Council, I understand that we have a representative here from Casey. We have been petitioned by Casey Marketing Company to correct a previous legal description error. This map depicts the current city limit boundaries in purple. This is the current Casey lot in green, and you can see that there is a slight deviation here. Apparently a bearing got recorded wrong in a previous survey, and so when the city limits were drawn according to that previous legal description, the top corner of the Casey's property is not currently in the city limits, and this little section is. So we had a little legal description problem there is what we believe happened. So I suggested when Casey's approached the city with a site plan that we go ahead and correct this through a voluntary annexation petition, and that's what's being presented here for a second reading.
Okay. Earl, if you would.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. As you know from perhaps past annexations, on a voluntary annexation, there's a number of factors, a dozen or so factors that the council is supposed to weigh in determining the appropriateness of the annexation that's proposed and requested. And so I normally go through those in quite a bit of detail, one by one. Obviously, I think we all recognize that being 0.07 1/100ths of an acre is not all that significant in terms of a lot of the major conceptual issues that guide annexation, and consequently, I'm going to abbreviate this tonight to just a handful of items, and then we can probably move on. But number one is a need for residential, commercial, or industrial sites within the proposed area. Obviously, this is a very highly valuable or located site in terms of its relationship to I-70 on the major corner of one of our three corridors. So I think it's very much in everybody's interest to get the entire site in so that you can fully utilize the particular site and to allow us to take advantage of it for what's likely to be commercial business expansions. Unable to meet the need without annexing the area, the site is obviously already there and has some degree of development. I think the assumption probably was the entire site was already in the city limits, so it was probably functioning and utilizing this little 7 1/100ths of a piece as a part of its property. But obviously it's useful in terms of meeting setbacks, allowing more space that will allows you to meet any drainage or retention type requirements or so forth. It just sort of rounds it out. Whether the need is reasonably foreseeable versus visionary, obviously we have a project that's very real and they're going down a separate track in terms of site plans and so forth. So it's a real project, so it's not visionary or speculative in any sense. Uniform application of and enforcement of zoning ordinances. Again, it allows you to fulfill the setbacks and in those number of things. And probably the most evident piece is it improves the irregularities of the city boundaries. It corrects those errors or whatever happened in the past to make them uniform with both the ownership and what we think is our boundaries up to now. Again, there's a number of other items, but they're probably not all that relevant in this particular concept. So I think I'll just let it rest with those particular items. I think it's obviously in everybody's best interest to clean this up, and we should, I guess, compliment Casey's for bringing it forward to clean up this small error that was made in the past.
Okay. Are there any comments from the public? This would be the time if anyone in the public would like to make a comment. Okay, hearing none, we will close this hearing and we will officially call this meeting to order. Mark Livingston, if you would please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this wonderful day. Be with those that are in need. Be with this city and those that are charged with making decisions for it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Mark. Mary, when you're ready, if you would call roll.
Livingston.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Ehlers.
Here.
Heaton.
Here.
Young.
Here.
Kelly.
Here.
Meadows.
Here.
Beach.
Here.
Hearing of citizens' comments. If there was anyone in the audience who would like to make a public comment, this is the time to do so. Seeing and hearing none, we will move along to approval of the minutes of the November 18th, 2013 council meeting. Those were in your packet, a draft, and you've had plenty of time to read those. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, they will stand as submitted. Consent items, we have two consent items this evening. One is a pay request, number 2, final from Vance Brothers in the amount of $4,779.66 for asphalt pavement seals. And the other is a pay request number 2 from Freck Paving in the amount of $37,631.03 for asphalt street repairs and overlays. Morris?
Mayor, make a motion these be approved.
Mark?
Second that.
Okay, any questions? Roll call.
Livingston.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Ehlers.
Yes.
Heaton.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Meadows.
Yes.
Beach.
Yes.
Presentation of accounts and claims. Mary, when you're ready, if you would present that.
Ordinance appropriating money. Be it ordained by the Council of the City of Boonville as follows. Section 1, for the purpose of paying salaries on various accounts against the City of Boonville, which have been allowed by the Council at the regular meeting thereof on December 2nd, 2013, the sum of $560,303.05. General Fund, $240,085.91. Sanitation, $16,849.31. CIP tax, $24,823.60. Waterworks, $113,046.12. Capital projects, $320.92. Wastewater, $48,226.16. Tourism, $9,036.97. Gaming, $107,914.06. Parks and Water, 0. Section 2, the bookkeeper is hereby authorized and instructed to draw checks on the respective city bank accounts in favor of the persons whose salaries and accounts have been allowed as above, amounting to $560,303.05, being the total amount of money above appropriated. Section 3, the sergeant shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage. First reading on December 2nd, 2013, read for the second time the second day of December 2013, since a copy was made available prior to the meeting.
Second reading, title only.
Ordinance appropriating money.
Mark?
Mayor, I move we approve this ordinance.
Morris?
Second.
Questions? Roll call.
Livingston.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Ehlers.
Yes.
Heaton.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Meadows.
Yes.
Beach.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Unfinished business, second reading of bill number 2013-033, annexing property at the northeast corner of Highway B and Interstate 70, commonly known as 2450 Main Street, owned by Casey's Marketing.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, annexing certain contiguous territory at the northeast corner of Highway B and Interstate 70, commonly known as 2450 Main Street, owned by Casey Marketing Company and Iowa Corporation, into the City of Boonville, Missouri, providing an effective date therefore and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Okay, that will be extended to a third reading, so we won't be voting on that this evening. Item B, second reading of Bill Number 2013-034, approving the lease agreement with Nicholas Supermarkets Incorporated for land adjacent to the city lakes on Boone Village Drive.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, authorizing and approving a lease agreement and option to purchase between the City of Boonville, Missouri and Nicholas Supermarkets Incorporated for the land adjacent to the city lakes on Boone Village Drive, providing an effective date therefore, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Mark,
Mayor, I move we approve this ordinance.
do I hear a second? Second. Becky? Discussion? Yes,
Yeah.
Noah.
Reading the paperwork that was handed out last time, I noticed that we're going to be offering or paying $850 for an option to purchase the land. That hadn't been mentioned, I don't think, originally when we discussed this idea of renting. I think the way it was portrayed early on was it was going to be $1 or $2 for the lease. I didn't know anything about an option to purchase. Does anybody know how that came about and what the discussions were?
When Earl assigned me to draft this up, that was part of it. I think that the issue from Dave was that he wanted to give the city the kind of right of first refusal to purchase the property. He was willing to rent it for a period of time, but then he's probably going to want to make some potential final disposition of the property, and he wanted the city to have the opportunity to do that. And so kind of the easiest way to do that is with an option. The $850 came about because that's pretty much about half the price of the taxes. That was just kind of an easy way to split that. And you have to provide separate consideration for an option, of course. So that was provided there. So that was kind of the terms that he would like to at least start the negotiations with the city on.
I mean, I guess there was never any discussion of purchasing it, so that's kind of caught me off guard. And none that I know of, this body has never talked about purchasing it, so I don't know, I kind of have a hard time. It's one of those items that I put out there to the public, and I had quite a few people email me and call me behind the scenes, and a lot of people don't even know where that's at or don't hardly use it, and it just seems to be kind of a costly endeavor for parking for the few people that do use it.
I think one of the issues that was talked about early on was there's going to be some improvements needed to be able to make the area a little bit more accessible. You want to put in some signage. It's going to require a little bit of ADA accessibility issues. So the city's going to put some money into it, not a significant amount, but probably, $3,000 or $4,000, I would assume, something to that effect. So the issue of potentially purchasing the feature also came up as with that level of improvements being made to the track.
Morris.
The only comment I'd like to make is that when this was brought before the park board, it was only on a lease. Nothing was talked about purchasing or anything. It was just wanting to know if they would recommend the city lease it for $1 or $2 a year.
Mike?
If I read this correctly, the leaseor has to pay $1,700, twice the amount that we would pay them for that year for taxes. So we only alleviate half of the taxes due for that year. Still has to pay $850 remainder for taxes. So I'm not saying that this is what everybody understood from the beginning. I'm just saying if it's true this property has value, it also has taxes due, and we're not even leasing it for the full amount of the taxes.
Morris?
But my only comment is that, number one, the city don't need no more property. As tight as our budget looks like it's going to be for next year, even though that's $850, we've got to start someplace saving money. And even though that we're, saving him, we're reimbursing him half of the property tax. Basically, that's what we're doing, is that we got to start someplace and saving some money. And I just don't think we need to pay the $850.
Noah?
Kind of touch on that too, and I know we're only being short-sighted there, thinking about a year, but even 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I guess if it came before this body or the Parks Department that they're going to make improvements to that park and they're going to make it more usable for the public, that might be a different conversation. But it just sort of seems like I think many of us were thinking this is just going to be, really nothing more than doing an official lease, just because a lot of citizens already park there when they utilize that pond. But not that I know everybody, but I don't even think 1 out of every 10 people that I did talk to about it had even used it, and many of them didn't even know it was there. So my concern is just, my thought process is I don't think we would buy it, because I just don't think the use for that property is there to spend $30,000 for a parking lot for it when it's not that used. So if we're not going to purchase it, then why are we paying an option to buy it? We're, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line.
Is there a purchase price set?
Yes,
What's that?
it's under paragraph 4, $30,000.
Mike?
Is there any, I don't know what discussions that the park board has had on this. Is there an expected increase in revenue relative to the usage of the lakes that is in concert with this?
There's no revenue out there on that lake. It's open to the public, anybody can fish in there, all they got to do is have a fishing license.
So the value is usage only, not any type of return of?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
It's kind of, Mike, just like any other park.
The problem, though, it's not like any other park. Okay, that's kind of the core. I think Dave is open to lease issues, okay? I think he would look at your last page. Okay, look at your last page. You see where the parks are, where the 2 lakes are located.
Last time, I guess.
Last meeting.
Right, this sheet right here. You can see where the lakes are located. There is no parking lot. There is no access road. There is no way to physically get to those lakes without crossing onto private property, other than right here, down here, where there's no parking on this side of the road. So, I mean, we can talk about, how this came to be, that the city got these 2 lakes with, okay, but that's long before any of us were ever involved. So that's the real issue, that we have a park property that almost physically can't be used by a majority of the public because they can't get access to it.
Is the higher lake part of ours too?
Yes, this whole track.
Okay, so my only argument to those statements would be is that I could almost see us coming up with an alternative off of that street, whether it's an ADA ramp or a sidewalk or steps off of, what's the side street?
Boone Village
Boone
Drive.
Village Drive, for $30,000 or less. I mean, to me, it's just, and it would be different if this was a place that was packed every Saturday in the summer, and I had people beating down my door and phone saying, "Hey, we love that lake. We use it all the time, and let's spend the money to secure that parking lot so we have a place to park when we use it all the time." But it's to me, it's a lot of money to contemplate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from today, when I could easily, I think, put in a ramp down to the lake. I know the draw is that Boone Village is up pretty high and it's a pretty steep down to the pond there, but just throwing $850 away for the possibility to purchase it in 3, 4, 5 years for $30,000. Steep pill to swallow today.
Is there any sort of measure of how often it's used, how many cars are needing to park? Is there any way of knowing?
I don't believe so. Gary Nauman, our Parks Director, is not here. He's being a grandpa tonight, so he's not here, and he could probably tell us a little more. But there's no definitive measurement. We don't have any numbers to say we have 50 people, parking there every month.
Right.
So we don't have any
And I'm not sure if they
statistics.
still do this, but when my kids were little, I think the city or somebody, didn't somebody put like in the spring, don't they have like a fishing day or something?
They don't do
And they
that.
no
They don't do
longer
that
do
no more.
that.
No.
They
That
no
was,
no longer do
Game warden.
Kiwanis and the
Kiwanis,
conservation.
They
Okay,
quit
so they
doing
don't
that.
even do that. Okay.
Yeah, so they,
All right.
they don't even do that anymore.
Is there room for negotiation on the 850? Have you had discussions with him? Is that just all that was talked about, or? I mean, you know, I might even be open to $100 a year or something, but it's $850 a year for something that at this moment I wouldn't vote for it. This is a little steep for me.
Ned, did you have a comment?
I can probably answer some of what you're talking about because I get by there pretty often, and the grandkids and I have been down there several times, and we've never seen anybody else except ourselves down there fishing. It's not an easy. Neither one of the ponds are easy ponds to fish either. You know, the banks are pretty steep, and they're not easy to fish. So we don't see that many down there. My worry with this is that it just doesn't get used. I don't see it getting used. I don't see the cars or the people down there that much, even with the number of retired people that are behind there that have an opportunity to use it. We don't see them use it either. It just seems to me we ought to just leave it alone, and that we don't need this parking lot.
Just for the record, it wasn't a staff initiative. It was brought to us by Dave, who understood it was landlocked, and I believe he's indicated that he has another buyer for the track, so I don't know that it hurts his feelings one way or another,
Right.
what the circumstance is. So it's, I guess they just turn into retention ponds or something would be fine with us.
It's kind of what they are now.
It is, I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Any other discussion? We do have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Livingston,
Yes.
Carter,
No.
Ayers,
Yes.
Heaton,
No?
Young,
No.
Maybe not.
Kelly,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
yes,
Yes, I'm sorry.
Beach.
No.
Ty.
No.
Mayor, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
No. Okay, we will move along to new business. We have none. Reports of standing committees, Parks Board, Morris Carter.
We had a standard meeting the other night, and Gary gave us a kind of report on everything that's going on in the Park Department. And they're getting everything winterized and ready for the summer. I guess the one question I would have, Earl, is the company, it was brought up at the Park Board meeting the other night, that the company that is going to do our tree cutting, have they ever started?
I don't know that answer for sure.
Well, Gary said they were supposed to start it in October the 18th. And I feel like if they have not started, that we need to look at another company. Because the bid that we approved, was for them to start on the 18th of October.
I'll visit with Gary then.
Any questions for Morris? Fire Board, Mike.
There's a lack of quorum, the meeting will be rescheduled.
Housing Authority, Morris.
It's just a standard meeting. I wasn't really able to go to the meeting. I was in Kansas City, but according to the minutes, don't look like anything unusual took place.
Board of Adjustments, Megan.
We actually had two projects become before the board. One was regarding a residential structure at 1316 Main Street. The request was for a rear and side yard variances, and after presentation of a pretty detailed plan and a review of the neighborhood, both of those variances were granted. And the second variance request was in regards to the Casey's General Store. As part of their site plan, they requested a small rear setback on on one of the corners of the lot. And again, that, after review and discussion of the site plan, the variance report, that variance was also approved and will then go back to the planning and zoning for their consideration of the site plan.
Any questions regarding adjustment? We'll move along to reports of city officials. City Administrator Earl.
Yes, I have one thing on the status of the property at 8 Riverside Drive. You all remember when we went through the dangerous building process with that particular property that was, I guess, under contract with Dixon Builders, Dwayne Dixon. There were issues about closing with USDA and so forth. I visited with him in person last week, and I guess as late as today via message. He did close on the property on October 22nd, to Friday, and I believe he started working on it really soon thereafter, if not that very day. It's reported that he's made good progress, and we had originally gave him 60 days, which come from about October 7th, I believe. So we're just short of that a little bit. So he said that he intended to keep on it real quickly so that he could get it listed. So I guess I'm suggesting maybe we pick a date like February 1st for a new deadline. It's basically another 60 days. That allows for a little weather, which I think may get over the next couple of days. And I think once he gets it where he can just be inside, it'll probably proceed. But so far, I think he's done what he said he was going to do, and seems to want to get it fixed back up so he's got a realtor engaged. I actually spoke with that gentleman just informally about that a few days ago also. So I think he's moving forward on it, at least business-like, if not frankly faster than that.
I'd like to make a comment. Yeah, since I live next door, I've talked to him several times, and I see the progress on a daily basis. And I was really surprised that I think he did the right things to start on the project. That is, removing everything that's burned and damaged on the north side, which was the worst part of it. I can't speak for what Steve will find later when he actually steps inside. I only see it from the outside. But it appears as if he's gone through it thoroughly and is taking a aggressive approach to it that was probably necessary. And so if it was to be saved, he seems to be making the right initial steps, and like seeing his progress on a daily basis. I think he's heading in the right direction.
Good.
Yes.
Maybe Megan can answer the question. Do we need a motion to extend that?
Yes, I believe you do.
I move that we extend the, what do we call it, completion date, Earl? Is that what? it's
February
at?
1st.
To February 1st?
Okay.
Second.
Thank you, Morris. Roll call. Morris.
And Mayor, before we
Livingston?
roll call,
Yes.
we talk about it. I wanted
Oh,
to
I'm
clarify.
sorry, discussion.
Okay. I wanted to clarify. It's February 1st. Do we have to have a meeting? Are we scheduling a meeting that night, or is it just we're moving the date right now, and as we get closer, we may move it again or
Well,
finalize in some other way?
I guess my hope is he's completed by then and the whole thing's moot. So
Okay.
if
So this isn't to schedule a meeting for February 1st?
No,
This is just to give him a
he
final...
needs another 60 days.
Okay,
If it's
gotcha.
not satisfactory, then I guess I'll bring it back
Okay.
again.
All right, that's all.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Livingston,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Ayers,
Yes.
Heaton,
Yes?
Young,
Yes.
Kelly,
Abstain.
Meadows,
Yes.
Beach.
Yes.
Mayor, I have nothing to report. City Councilor,
Nothing
Megan.
this evening?
City Clerk.
Yes, I do have one thing. Candidate filing period for the April 8th, 2014 municipal election will open on Tuesday, December 17th at 8 a.m. and will be open until 5 p.m. and from 8:30 to 5 p.m. thereafter through the closing date of January 21st, 2014. So it opens on December 17th, and closes on January 21st. The offices to be filled this upcoming election are for the mayor, which is a 4-year term, and a 2-year term for each of the council representatives for the wards 1 through 4, those that are seated on my left. The interested parties will complete a declaration of candidacy, pay a $25 filing fee with the city clerk, and have their city taxes paid and all user fees current on the last day to file. Public notice of this filing period will be published in the Boonville Daily News on December 2nd, which is today, and in the Cooper County Voice on December 3rd.
Thank you, Mary. Any questions of Mary on that? Okay. Miscellaneous. Steve?
How are we doing on the other pieces of property that we discussed, I guess, a couple months ago?
Okay. Earl, you want to report on
I
that?
think the Cluck property's cleaned up. The ownership transfer of the piece on Pine has been consummated. It's or as of the weekend, it has not been done. They've talked to Grice. Do you have anything new on that, Steve?
Like Earl said, the club property has been taken care of. Grice has been awarded the contract to take the house down on Pine Street. I was contacted by another contractor the other day about the house on Morgan Street, so that one's moving along also. So all the ones that we took through the last hearing are progressing. So
E-Man Motors has come a long ways. I'm so proud of that. They've done a nice job on that, so.
Actually, now got a viable piece of property there.
Yeah.
Put something there.
Any other miscellaneous? Seeing none, or hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Yeah.